If you're watching this video right now, you're not dreaming. Tega's back. And we're going to keep the ball rolling like I never left as I talk about one of my favorite games of 2022, and that's Horizon Forbidden West. Let's get into it. If you're unfamiliar with the Horizon franchise, this is the second entry, the first being Zero Dawn, and now Forbidden West, to where you play as Aloy in a set in the open world action RPG in the post-apocalyptic USA, specifically California, Nevada, and Utah. Now the story picks up roughly 6 months after the first game, and now Aloy is looking for a backup of Gaia. At the same time, there's this new plague that's ravaging the Earth and degrading the biosphere. So with Aloy being the protector of the Earth, of course she wants to go investigate, and that's what leads her into the Forbidden West. At the same time, we have Silence, who we find out has a fragment of Hades after the defeat. Of course he was going to take it. We all knew it. He has his own motives. You saw it the entire game. So now he's back in contact with Aloy, being cryptic, manipulating you for whatever reason, whatever his motives is, he wants your help. And now you have to go back on the hunt to figure out what Silence knows, because supposedly he has so much more knowledge. You know how he talk. If you played the first game, you know exactly how Silence is, and you know that he's low-key a snake and he's using you for his own ambitions. Now I won't go into too much more detail because this is a spoiler-free review, but I would like to say that we're getting returning characters as well. And you guessed it, it's some of our fan favorites like Varl and Erend, and I'll just have to let you see some of the other returning characters for yourself, because you may be in for a nice surprise. And we do have some new characters along for the ride as well. But the problem is Aloy likes to figure out issues on her own and often goes off and travels alone so she won't put anyone else in danger. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, the side characters in this story is not going for that. They want to help Aloy any way they can, so it makes the side characters that much more interesting and a vital part of the story. And now with most of the backstory out the way, it's time to get to the gameplay. And man, I'm happy that they got these quality of life changes inside this game that I was looking for in Zero Dawn. My issue with the first game is that even though you were well equipped for the machines and most of the enemies throughout the game, the humanoid enemies just felt kind of lackluster. When it came to targeting, the type of attacks that you can do with them, you can kind of tell that the mechanics were built for fighting machines most of the game, and the humanoid enemies were just kind of, you know, an afterthought. So those swings and, you know, those wide attacks, slow attacks just didn't really feel good fighting against those characters. So I often retreated to my bow and arrow, which is your main weapon of the game, you know, and that's fine. But when you want to get up close and personal, it just didn't have that spark. But in Forbidden West, they recalibrated the mechanics a little bit, and now you have specific moves for those enemies. Along with the new enhanced fight mechanics, you have a few new tricks up your sleeve, including new traps, new weapons, ultimate abilities, and new gadgets that help aid Aloy across the map. The two gadgets that I wanted to target the most was the grappling hook and the shield glider. Those two items alone added so much verticality to the game that Forbidden West felt like a breeze flying through. So as opposed to Zero Dawn, to where you only had to rappel down at those specific mountain points, or else you was just climbing down a mountain again, or risk falling to your death because you was jumping from a cliff that was too high. So I'm glad they added those two items to the game, because even though Forbidden West is technically a bigger map, it didn't really feel like it, because there's just one big open world area and you have so many gadgets to traverse across, including fast travel, which is still the same. You have to craft those fast travel packs unless you get the golden fast travel pack. But I really didn't fast travel much unless I was just trying to finish some missions right away. But the game is just breathtaking, so you know, I didn't care too much about those fast travel packs. The game was just fun enough, and it was filled with activities and little interest points that I didn't really have to do it that much. So that's surprising, because you can get used to the open world after a while, to where you're playing these games, and you know, after beating so many, you get that open world fatigue. But I didn't really feel that with this game, honestly. It didn't feel too big, it didn't feel too small, it wasn't filled with all unnecessary activities, and this game felt like it was supposed to be an open world. The mission structure is pretty much the same as Zero Dawn. You have your main objectives, your side quests and errands, contracts, hunting grounds, rebel camps, and outposts to clear out, so we can kind of gloss over that. Those are pretty much the same. The real treat that I wanted to go over was the revamped skill tree. You have 6 different pathways that you can go down, and that's warrior, trapper, hunter, survivor, infiltrator, and machine master. Now you're going to have enough skill points to fill up just about every tree, but it just all depends on what you want to start off in first. So if you want to go the warrior path, you know, that's more melee focus. You may have some ultimate abilities in there that you want to try out. If you like setting traps and really planning your attacks before you jump out and fight machines, go down that trapper route. If you want to improve your health, you got survivor, your bow and arrow skills, hunter, and you pretty much get the gist of it. The game really encourages you to try out so many different abilities, and if you're not okay with your build, you can just respec for free, so there's no harm done. You can build it and fine tune it to pretty much any playstyle that you want to. But I wouldn't even worry about resetting the skills, because the game gives you so many chances to get skill points that you're going to fill up every tree eventually. Right now, currently with the base game, the level cap is 50, but even after you reach that cap, you're still able to earn skill points throughout activities and whatever you do in the game. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be maxed out, and you can just click on and assign whatever ability that you want and just have fun with the game. The only way I can see you using the respec ability is early game, when you only have so many skill points and you want to really choose the right ones that can help you out in the long run. But you're going to have all abilities eventually. Just like in the previous entry, you're really going to have to pay attention to the strengths and weaknesses of these enemies, because if you go into a battle with one of these machines and you don't know the elemental advantage you have, then you're pretty much screwed at the beginning of the match. So just pay attention, because you're either going to die or you're in for a long fight if you don't expose those weak points and use those elemental advantages. So if you don't remember them, or you just need a reminder, those elements are fire, frost, shock, purge water, acid, and plasma. Now, once you scan these wide variety of enemies, you have access to look at them in the machine catalog within your notebook in the main menu. So it's a good thing to go in there and study and figure out what parts they drop, what are their weak points, what are the elemental advantages you have. Definitely refer to that at all times before you go into any battle. It makes it that much more easier. Now, the next part of my reviews usually consists of a technicality test, but honestly, Guerrilla Games made a really solid package. I don't have much to complain about when it comes to Forbidden West. I will say you may experience random texture pop-ins or pop-ups as you're traversing the area. You may see an NPC pop up here and there, but it wasn't anything game breaking. Of course, the sensitivity of that, varies per person, but it didn't really happen enough for me to be irritated by it, and that deserves an A+ in my book. We have so many games nowadays that come out buggy, needs a day one patch for us to just even play and enjoy it, and I didn't have to wait for any of that when it came to Forbidden West. Of course you probably could have broke the game by trying to purposely fall into a crevice of a mountain or anything like that, but it rarely happened, and I'm okay with that. I have nothing to complain about. Honestly, they may fix it up with a couple small patches and it won't be noticeable, but it's a really solid package. Just like the last game, they just do their job right. So thank you. I love well-optimized games, and we need more of them. So let's wrap it up. You've heard about the story, gameplay, and the technical side of things. So let's go over my pros and cons one last time before we head out. One of my biggest pros is the story. Now, Zero Dawn's story was no slouch, and I think Forbidden West just expanded upon it. I mean, we had suspense, action, heartfelt moments, developing characters, everything that you need within the story, I think Forbidden West has. And a good added element to that was those optional dialogue trees that I love, because I'm a Witcher 3 fan, and I love digging into those optional dialogue trees to let you know more about the person and the culture. And Forbidden West has all of that. You can learn more about the lore and the people and what they do for their culture and how their culture operates along with the rest of the game, and just how it all ties in with the Horizon universe. And I just love immersing myself within those stories and feeling like I'm a part of that and I feel like they captured that magic once again. Along with the story comes the next pro, which is voice acting and facial animations. Let's face it, if you have a great story, but lazy facial animations or the voice acting is not so great, we're gonna wanna drop the game maybe the next hour or so. So I'm really glad they took the appropriate amount of time to make that the priority. I mean, even with side characters that you may not see often in the game, maybe once or twice, and they're fully voice acted and their story is so cinematic that it feels like it goes with the rest of the main story of the game and just adds to the quality of life. And I have no complaints with that. They really nailed it when it came to the voice acting. And I mean, can't ask for anything else. One of my favorite things about this game is the photo mode. So it may not mean much to everybody, but a good photo mode in the game for me is just everything. I like visual photography, and this game is perfect for a photo mode. The game is just too beautiful not to have a good photo mode. So let's cue up some photos. And there was just a few of them. I mean, I spent so much time within the photo mode. I thought I wasn't going to beat the game at first, so I really had to dial it down to get back to the story. But every area that you explore, you just want to take a picture, or if you're fighting an enemy and an attack lines up so perfectly that you may want to stop it and just get that Kodak moment. I mean, this game is gorgeous, so why not take a million photos? So so that's a personal pro for me. I'm not sure how everybody else feels about photo modes, but I mean, I couldn't stay away from it in this game. I really couldn't. And lastly, the game is just well optimized. You know, like I said, other than those random pop-ups or texture issues, it didn't really happen much, and there was no game breaking, and I have to commend them for that. There's so many games that come out broken that when we get some good gems, we have to give them their flowers. I mean, the game is well optimized. I played it from day one and I had a good time. So great experience, great experience. Now for my cons, I don't have much, but I have to give it a few cons. No game is perfect, and just know that I'm nitpicking. I'm really at the bottom of the barrel. Now my first nitpick of this game is the fast travel packs. Why do we need to craft fast travel? I mean, we spend so much time going past campfires and points of interest, so we may just want to hop to that and just get it over with. What happens if, you know, you just want to save the game for the day, but you don't have the proper materials, so they have to run to a campfire in order to save? I mean, the crafting materials is pretty inexpensive and you may have it already, but what happens if you don't? There's always that chance that you don't because you're too busy spending, you know, crafting materials on your next gear upgrade or your next weapon or whatever you're using it for. We don't need crafting materials for fast travel. Now I will say you can fast travel for free if you get to a campfire, but that's if you get to a campfire. There are plenty of campfires all around the game, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem. But there's been a couple times where I just wanted to end the game, save it, and go to bed, but I had to run the 500 meters to the next campfire. So not much of an issue, but I would like the crafting materials for fast travel to just be done, just fast travel like every other game. It's okay. And it would be a lot better if we had a golden fast travel pack this game, but to my knowledge, they don't have a golden fast travel pack this time around. My next con is still the fighting system. Now I know I praised it earlier for having enhanced mechanics, but there's still work to be done. So there's been a few times where I have multiple enemies on the screen, so one of my swings may not have been intended for a certain target, but it hit them or it didn't hit them. So it's still kind of loose. They can still tighten up a bit, but you can tell that they're still trying to find that sweet spot for fighting machines versus fighting humans. So even though that they did make a stride, there's still I don't know, it's just still one more thing that needs to be done to really make it solid. Now my final complaint is Aloy herself. So let me explain. I'm nitpicking. Remember, this is subjective. I'm nitpicking. But I feel like for a woman to have the weight of the world on her shoulders with everything that she's doing within the game and just the franchise overall, she comes off as kind of monotone or nonchalant through certain conversations in the story when she should have a lot more personality or reaction to whatever happened. I feel like side characters have way more personality and energy to them versus Aloy, and I just feel like that she should have reacted a little bit more strongly towards certain key points within the story. And you know, you'll get there and form your own opinion, but I just feel like for someone who's doing so much, you would think that they would, you know, be a little bit more, you know, nervous or, you know, hopeful, you know, whatever. I just feel like certain conversations, she just didn't have that certain push, you know, versus other characters. But extremely nitpicky. She's a great character overall. I do enjoy Aloy as a main character, but I just wish that, you know, she had a little bit more of a personality when it came to certain key points. And there you have it. Those are my pros and cons of Horizon Forbidden West. So should you buy it full price, discount it, or just drop it? I honestly think you should pick this game up whenever you have a chance to. I am not mad if you pay full price for this game. It's a solid product, and it may be one of the top games of this year because of so many games are getting pushed back to early 2023. So I can see this game easily being top 3, top 5 picks overalls of games this year, because I mean, this is a backlog year, honestly, and I feel like this game is well worth the packaging. So yeah, definitely buy it. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the bell, man. Y'all know how the internet works. I ain't got to tell y'all. And yeah, I'll see y'all on the next video. It's good to be back. We out.